President Trump says talks are happening. Iran says no, they are not. Who do you believe?
Well, I have a new word for you. In addition to taco, how about caco? Congress always chickens out. All those parties you were just mentioning, who may or may not be talking to each other, do not include Congress. And they do not include the American people. Maybe they include our allies. Maybe they include Israel. Maybe they include a couple of negotiators for the Trump team. But they don't include the folks who should be authorizing or not a continuation of this war. I hope that it will end. I think there are no good hands to play, no good cards that Trump can play. But the least bad cards are to try to stop the military action now, and doing it three ways with Israel, too, would be a good thing. Not blaming Israel, but including Israel in a decision to stop. I think that would be very welcome.
Well, that would be awfully important, right, Jane? I'm glad that you're with us right now. We didn't realize this would drop right while you joined us, but indeed Axios is reporting that J.D. Vance spoke on the phone with Benjamin Netanyahu about components of a possible agreement. What could that call have included? The conventional wisdom so far is that Israel has very different objectives than the U.S. and may not be compelled to stand down at this point in time.
Well, that is the conventional wisdom, but nothing about this war has been conventional. Israel has a slightly different agenda, which is to, seems to me, to be destroying all possible proxies of Iran that surround Israel, especially Hezbollah. But nonetheless, a deal including some agreement by Israel to stand down on that agenda, I think would be more powerful and could last longer. I think our former allies in the region would really welcome it. And maybe even Congress would not go on recess and stick until it can formalize something. Let's remember, Joe, that the authorization to use military force does have a 60-day carve-out, which gives latitude to the president. I think those 60 days are going to expire while Congress is on recess. And, hello, Congress, Jane to Congress, where are you? This is your responsibility.
Well, so, Jane, if we're thinking about Congress here, of course, Congress should is going to be in the position very soon to have to make a decision as to whether or not to send the Pentagon an additional $200 billion in funding, in part to prosecute this war, in part to replenish stockpiles of munitions we've been expending throughout the duration of this more than 3-week-long conflict. Is that the time in which we could actually see Congress step up? Do you think it may not be a request so easily granted that the Pentagon and the White House are making?
Well, the Congress does have the power of the purse. Let's understand that our defense budget is already $1 trillion, higher than it's ever been. And the president was proposing another $500 billion add to that. And I don't know if the 200's on top of the 500. So he's almost doubling it. And what is this going for? I mean, some of us, I chaired recently the Commission on National Defense Strategy, and we said that the DIB, the Defense Industrial Base, was weak and needed to be replenished. A lot of this money has to go there. And oh, by the way, one of the things we just destroyed, unfortunately, is our soft power by defunding a number of agencies and functions of our government. Soft power is our diplomacy. Soft power is our development aid. And where's the money going to be to rebuild that? Because, boy, are we going to need that once this this mistake is ended.
Jane, you've spent a career around diplomacy. And I'm wondering what you think of this idea of the president sharing control of the Strait of Hormuz with the new Ayatollah. What type of agreement would govern such action?
Stay tuned, Joe. I really don't know. I would think that a lot of countries in the world, in fact, most of them, would have a stake in this too. And all of a sudden giving some agency to us, if we are a reliable partner, might be something they would entertain, but I don't know what the contours are. I would hesitate to say. And this is international water, and sadly, the geography is such that Iran easily can get control over it. But it's international water, so I would think some international group would have to say this makes some sense.
Well, when we consider the Strait of Hormuz and the economic choke point it has become, which Iran is still effectively exercising control over, Jane, I just wonder if so long as the Strait of Hormuz can operate in that capacity, in that Iran is able to effectively choke it off when they so choose, if even a diplomatic outcome is not going to be enough to assuage shippers, specifically those operating the vessels, that it's going to maintain safe passage, that it can be safely protected, knowing Iran could make the decision at any moment for that no longer to be the case.
Well, that's a risk, isn't it? Did we think about that before we started this action, however many days it was, 3 or 4 weeks ago? I wonder if we did. I wonder if the president was fully considered this, or if the team he consulted fully considered this. I mean, saying, I have a feeling that the time is right doesn't seem to me to be a very thoughtful, detailed decision about consequences. And this is a very serious consequence. And oh, by the way, Karg Island, where there's also conversation, we could take it over, is 300 miles away from the Strait of Hormuz, not exactly contiguous. And I'm not exactly sure what taking it over now would get us, plus, except for a high risk that there could be casualties to our military if we put boots on the ground.
Well, if we can get back to your original premise, which I believe is Congress always chickens out, Jane, what's about to happen, if anything, to DHS? This is a Department of Homeland Security that's about to set a record for its closure, and the president is dispatching ICE agents to airports to back up TSA agents who are not getting paid. Is that leverage to reopen, or could that, in fact, spoil things for Democrats to the point where we do set a record?
Well, unclear, Joe. I mean, the idea of ICE agents, maybe unmasked, that's an improvement, in airports collecting data on the people in lines, data for what is a little scary, as in a lot scary. Should Congress buck the president here and fund TSA? You bet it should. And there are proposals in both parties to do this. But I gather the president is holding back the Republican Party from doing it. Should there be reforms to ICE? Absolutely. And I think members of Congress would support this. So, hello, Congress, Kako, don't chicken out. Step up and do the right thing for your constituents. You'll be rewarded if you do this. You'll be punished if you don't.
Well, so who, Jane, do you expect will ultimately bear the brunt of that punishment? If it's President Trump who has rejected a deal that a Republican majority leader brought to him, does that actually shift the trajectory of blame away from Democrats, who obviously were demanding the changes causing this shutdown, to the Republican Party as the midterms get closer?
Well, the problem we're having is that the business model, which used to be work together to solve hard problems for the country, has morphed into blame the other side. And if we're only playing the blame game, we're going to get nowhere. And yeah, maybe Republicans will be punished more than Democrats, but I'm going to stand in one of those lines later this week. I'm not going to feel great about it, and I'm just saying that I think if I were a member of Congress now, I can't say I missed the job right now. If I were a member of Congress right now, I'd want to be solving this hard problem. There are solutions, and just keeping the government closed, or this portion of the government closed, and making people suffer doesn't leap out as the best option.
Well, we know that John Thune went to the president to try to end this shutdown yesterday and said he'd had Republican votes to support funding all of DHS except ICE. The president said no. How much longer does that mean the department will be closed, realizing that he wants this tied to the Save America Act?
Well, I think the Save America Act is really unpopular, including with Republicans. I mean, I think absentee ballots back in the day when I was running for Congress were the way Republicans won races. And I don't think Republican governors want their secretaries of state ordered around by the Trump administration. So I don't think SAVE is going anywhere. And John Thune, if he has enough votes, should just pass the thing over the president with a veto-proof majority. And then it's done. John Thune, Kako, please do it. And I'm not sure Democrats will agree to his proposal, but there is some proposal, I would imagine, if they work together, that would get a veto-proof majority in the Senate. And same thing for Mike Johnson. He seems a little more reticent, but hey, if you want to get reelected, you have to be able to accomplish something in your term.
Well, Jane, I know you've repeatedly called out to Congress in your time with us today. I'm not sure if anyone in Congress is going to heed those calls, knowing Mike Johnson doesn't just have this challenge. There's also the challenge of FISA renewal. And I ask you, as the former ranking member on House Intelligence, how difficult this may become in the weeks ahead.
Well, difficult. I think every single thing there is difficult. And I think one of the things that is really painful is the weakness of our intelligence community now. FISA is a key piece of our ability to keep America safe. FISA needed reform over time. We did reform it to some extent. But again, Congress has got to get in the game and not just let things expire and then throw up its hands. And we need strong people heading our intelligence community. We have some, but we lack others. And, as one of the people after 9/11 who was there and who worked on a bipartisan basis to put America in a stronger position, this is absolutely heartbreaking and really reckless.